Hello friends, welcome to the class. Myself N.K. Thokral from Edupedia World. Students, in the previous sessions, I had discussed on various forms of public sector enterprises. That is, departmental undertaking, statutory corporation and government company. As you now must be aware, what is departmental undertaking, what is statutory corporation and what is government company? What are the features of all these type of companies? So today, let me start how each other different from all the aspects. There are various aspects where all these three type of corporation differs among each other. Let us take one by one. The point of differences are: number one, formation. Departmental undertaking is created by order of the government and is attached to a particular ministry, whereas statutory corporation is created by a special act of parliament. In case of government company, it is created in accordance with the Companies Act. So whatever the rules are given, procedures are given in Companies Act, this needs to be followed by government company. So this is what formation is. Second point of difference is management. In case of departmental undertaking, company is managed by government officials of the concerned ministry, whereas in case of statutory corporation, it is managed by board of directors appointed by the government. Whereas in case of government company, it is managed by a board of directors nominated by the government. So students, you must be knowing that in case of statutory corporation, directors are appointed by the government, and in case of government company, they are nominated by the government. Third difference is finance. Departmental undertaking is financed 100% by government out of the funds allocated in the budget, whereas in case of statutory corporation, funds through borrowing from government or through revenues from sale of goods. And in case of government company, at least 51% of share capital is provided by the government. This is a minimum requirement to become a government company. So finance is provided by government. Third, next is staff. In case of departmental undertaking, all are government employees, whereas in case of statutory corporation, no government employee. All employees are appointed under contract of service. In case of government company, no government employee, all employees are appointed under contract of service. So one or the other, these two type of corporations, regarding staff, the appointment is similar. Next is ownership. Departmental undertaking is wholly owned by the government. Similarly, statutory corporation is also owned by government. And in case of government company, at least 51% of the company is owned by the government. Next is flexibility. There is no flexibility in case of departmental undertaking, whereas in case of statutory corporation, there is a considerable scope for flexibility and initiatives. However, in case of government company, significant flexibility as it can frame its own rules and regulations. Next is degree of autonomy. Autonomy means having full power, independent powers. No autonomy as there is strict control of the government in case of departmental undertaking, whereas considerable degree of autonomy as no interference by government in day-to-day business affairs in case of statutory corporation, whereas in case of government company, there is a substantial degree of autonomy, not fully substantial. Next is public accountability. Departmental undertaking fully accountable to the public and concerned ministry, whereas statutory corporation accountable to the parliament, and the government company is accountable to the concerned ministry only. Now students, after covering various types of public sector enterprises, now let us go ahead to see that what is the role of public sector enterprises, what are its objectives as a whole. Let us go further. As you can see in the slides, first let us take up objectives. Overall, what are the overall objectives of public sector enterprises? Before that, I may brief you that after independence, there was a need for rapid economic and social development to solve the problem of poverty and unemployment, illiteracy, and regional imbalances in economic growth. So these were the important factors for creating public sector enterprises, namely poverty, unemployment, illiteracy, and regional imbalances in economic growth. The private sector was very much unwilling to invest in projects which required heavy investment and had long gestation periods. As a result, government took up the responsibility of developing infrastructural facilities and providing for goods and services essential for the economy. So these were the basic input or basic objectives for which it was thought that public sector enterprises needs to be created. So now let us go what exactly the objectives of public sector enterprises should be. Number one objective is economic development. One of the major factors is economic development of a country. Public sector enterprises were expected to provide infrastructure facilities for promoting balanced and diversified economic structure of the development. This is the main objective of a public sector enterprises. Second is self-reliance. What is self-reliance? Another aim of public enterprises is to promote self-reliance in strategic sectors of the national economy. For this purpose, public enterprises have been set up in transportation, communication, energy, petrochemicals, and other key basic industries. Third is development of backward areas. You see, this is also important for the government to look into the backward areas. Several public enterprises were established in backward areas to reduce regional imbalances in development. Balanced development of different parts of the country is necessary for social as well as strategic reasons. Next is employment generation. Unemployment has become a serious problem in India. Public enterprises seek to offer gainful employment in millions. In order to protect jobs, several SIC units in the private sectors have been nationalized. So, employment generation is also one of the factors for which public sector needs to be created. Next is economic surplus. Public sector enterprises seeks to generate and mobilize surplus for reinvestment. These enterprises earn money and mobilize public savings for industrial development. So this is also one of the objectives. Next is egalitarian society. You see, what is this? Prevention of concentration of economic power and growth. So an important objective of public enterprises is to prevent concentration of economic power and growth of private monopolies. Public sector helps the government to enforce social control on trade and industry. For ensuring equitable distribution of goods and services, public enterprises protect and promote small-scale industries. Next objective is defense. So this is another major factor government has thought on that. That is, government has to set up public enterprises for production of defense equipment. Supply of such equipment cannot be entrusted for private sector due to the need for utmost secrecy. Last objective is public utilities. Private sector is guided by profit motive, as you know. Therefore, it is reluctant to invest money in public utility services like water, supply, gas, electricity, public transport. Therefore, the government has to assume responsibility for providing such services. So students, these all were the objectives for creating a public sector enterprises as a whole in the country. Now students, let's go ahead for discussion on role of public sector. What should be the role of public sector? Further, what changes are required? Number one is development of infrastructure. You see, infrastructure refers to all such activities and facilities which are needed to provide different kinds of services in an economy, like banks, modes of transportation, communication facilities, etc. The private sector did not show any initiative to invest in heavy industries or develop it in any manner. As a result, the government established various public sector enterprises to develop infrastructure facilities in the economy. So this is one of the factors public sector had to play the role. Next is regional balance. Backward regions lack infrastructure facilities and private sector is not keen to set up industry in such regions. As you must be well aware that everybody wants to go in the major cities. They don't want to put their industries in backward areas because of lack of infrastructure facilities. As a result, industries tend to be concentrated in certain regions of the country only. Government aims is to locate enterprises in backward regions to reduce regional disparities. Next is economies of scale. Public sector is required to establish large-scale industries like power plants, natural gas, petroleum industries, etc. And these units needs huge capital outlay, which government can provide only. Next role is check over economic power. In the private sector, there are very few industrial houses which invest in heavy industries because needs large resources. It leads to concentration of wealth in few hands also. As a result, public ownership and control of large-scale business enterprises, the income and benefit that accrue are shared by a large number of employees and workers. So this is one of the basic objectives and role need to be played by the public sector. And further, this prevents concentration of wealth and economic power in the private sector. Another role is import substitution. You see, public sector enterprises helped in achieving this objective. Every economy aims to be self-reliant in all aspects. So for this, it is very important to have sufficient foreign exchange reserves, and public sector enterprises helped in achieving this objective. Moreover, many public sector companies like STC, MMTC, NTPC, etc. played an important role in expanding exports of the country. Thus, public sector played an important role and is playing important role in import substitution and increasing exports. Next is government policy. What is government policy? The Government of India introduced 4 major reforms in the public sector in its new industrial policy in 1991. What are the ingredients or what are the major reforms? Number 1 is restructure and revive potentially viable PSUs. You see, PSUs, or you can say public sector undertaking, which are really viable in a particular trade or particular industry, to restructure them. and where they are not working properly or they are loss making, to close down PSU which cannot be revived further. Next is bring down government equity in all non-strategic PSUs to 26% or lower if necessary. And last is fully protect the interest of workers. These are the major reforms brought out in 1991. Students, you are now well aware, I think, that what is the role of public sector and what should be the role of public sector. Now further for the better role and further for the improvement of public sectors, Government of India in the policies have further done too much for improvement of public sector enterprises. Where public sector enterprises are sick or needs to be closed down, the policies were framed, and where for further betterment of the public sector, there were further steps taken by the Government of India. Let's see what is done by the Government of India. What are the steps taken by the government? As you can see in the slide, number one step was taken, disinvestment of shares. Now what is disinvestment? Student, disinvestment refers to selling a part or whole of the shares of public sector enterprises. Suppose a public sector government has 52% finance or capital outlay in a company, and it wants to disinvest or sell a part of it. It can sell to the maximum extent. It should be more than 51% at least. So selling a part means if it is a 52%, 1% can be sold out, provided 51% minimum required amount is there in that public sector. So what is the aim? The aim was to raise resources and to involve general public and workers in the ownership of these enterprises. It was also expected that disinvestment would improve managerial performance and financial discipline. What is the objective of privatizing public sector? Disinvestment means to that extent is the privatizing. The primary objective is releasing large amount of public resources locked up in non-strategic PSCs in order to use them on other social priority areas. Next is reducing the huge amount of public debt and interest burden. And next, transferring the commercial risk to the private sector rather than keeping the whole risk with them. Reducing government control on such enterprises and discouraging monopoly of public sectors like in telecom sector in order to provide more choices and better quality products to the consumers. So disinvestment shares was thought of by the government. Next step is reduction in number of industries reserved for public sectors. All the sick public sector units were referred to BIFR, I mean to say Board of Industrial and Financial Reconstruction, to decide whether it has to be restructured or closed down. So BIFR needs to make policies and take decisions on such type of private sectors where it needs to be closed down or where they become sick. Next step was policy for sick units. What is this policy for sick units? With public finances under intense pressure, the only option left was to close down such units which are becoming sick. Although there was a lot of opposition from workers of the unit which were to be closed down, but BIFR had to frame a policy on that. Next step was taken MOU system. What is MOU? Means Memorandum of Understanding. Government introduced a Memorandum of Understanding system to improve the performance of public sector enterprises. Under this system, public sector units were given clear targets and operational autonomy to achieve them, and they will be accountable for the specified results. So these all were steps considered and taken by public sector for public sector enterprises. Now friends, this is all for today for the class. Thank you. Bye bye.